What's up? Welcome back to the Too Tall Sports Podcast. This is my 2 cents segment of the week where I give you my reaction to the biggest topics in sports. And I normally record these on Tuesdays. So following a Monday night game like that, I had to talk about the Raiders to start. We'll get into a couple other games as well. Plus, I want to talk about Max Scherzer in a couple minutes. But I did want to get to – I didn't even think I was going to talk about the Raider game. I thought the score was 17-10, kind of late in the game. I was like, this game sucks. I'm not going to bother. And then a real game started to happen in the fourth quarter and overtime. It was insane. Just want to run through a couple of the things I saw with the Raiders and Ravens games. So those of you that did see, the Raiders beat the Ravens. And it was all basically late game craziness. Derek Carr had a huge game, 435 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. It was his 22nd fourth quarter comeback, most among active players other than Matthew Stafford, and I think the most since 2014 for Carr. So the guy can make it happen when the game is on the line, especially when trailing. It was just a wacky finish toward the end. Especially one big play was when Gruden called the offense off the field after first down. Right, we're going to kick this right away. And then everything's unorganized. They try to get the kicker on the field. He's still practicing in the net. They can't even find the kicker. So they take a delay of game. Then they bring the offense back on the field. And then Carr throws the 31-yard bomb to Zay Jones. And then the Raiders win. It was just a wild, wacky game. The Raiders had 10 penalties on Monday night. 8 of them were on offense. I mean, the play they had deep to the guy Edwards, who caught it and made it to almost the goal line or the half-yard line, and then they called it back. It wasn't a touchdown, so they celebrated, get everybody off the field, and then the offensive lineman Leatherwood, I believe his name was, he gets a penalty on the half-yard line. They have to back it up and kick a field. It was a mess for the Raiders. However, they still won. It was pretty impressive by them to still hang on. It was so Raider-like for them to lose that game. And Lamar Jackson had 3 fumbles, and one of them led to the game winner. It was just a wacky game, I have to say. Funny to hear John Gruden. He always has good stuff to say at the presser. And if I can do my best John Gruden impression, I'll tell you what, man. I feel like a cat that has multiple lives, man. That's what football is all about. But we won that game. I've been working on my Gruden. So we'll see what happens with the Raiders at moving forward. You know, I don't know if they're going to be good long term. I think it's going to be a tough road for them ahead, but we'll see how they do. They get the Pittsburgh Steelers next week, so maybe the hype will die down before then. We'll see with the Ravens. They're a good football team. They had a couple guys out. I don't have much to say yet on them. Lamar Jackson's still good. They still got a good team. I think the Ravens will be fine down the road. From one new stadium to another, how about the Rams, especially at the brand new SoFi Stadium? And they got all the fans in there this year, totally different atmosphere. But what a difference one quarterback can make for an offense. Jared Goff, as most of you probably know, is very limited, right? Everything's got to be perfect for him in the pocket. He's got all the blocking right. The route's got to be perfect. He can only throw it in certain areas. Matthew Stafford is more of a gunslinger, and that guy can make all the throws. Different arm angles, you name it, he can do it. And you can just tell with Sean McVay how giddy he is at the press conference, talking about, well, I don't want to get too excited here, but it was just, you can just tell there's a different buzz about this offense. So I think Matthew Stafford showed the world, like, damn, this guy is really good. He's just been hiding in Detroit for the whole, 12 years. And you wonder, what the hell's Detroit been doing? I know he had Calvin Johnson, but didn't really build a team around him. So I'm not even a Rams fan. I watch them. I root for them now. But it was cool to see a real presence in Los Angeles, not only with the Chargers, but, of course, the Rams. And this is mostly a Raider town. But to see the Rams look like a Super Bowl contender offensively and defensively, they're going to be really tough to beat. I think they're going to be very good down the road. So we'll see what happens to the Rams. Other notes I had were on the Bears. I'm not sure how long you can play this game with Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. I think they're trying to ease Justin Fields in, the quarterback they drafted number 10 overall, which was the steal of the draft, by the way, out of Ohio State. The Bears traded up to get him. Huge move by them to get Justin Fields. And other rookie quarterbacks are already playing, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, and they're in different situations, right? Every organization has a different situation. So I do think Justin Fields will take over by week 4, 5, or 6, probably, because Matt Nagy, the coach, his job is tied to Justin Fields. Even if they lose this year more than they win, I think you can kind of give yourself a little more time. There's a little more leash there. Oh, well, I got a rookie quarterback, so give me time to develop him. But if you keep putting Andy Dalton out there, and I know he was decent for a while in Cincinnati, but he ain't it. Let's just call it what it is. Andy Dalton isn't the guy. And it's kind of a discouraging offense. Other than David Montgomery, that guy looked good. And that's against the Rams defense too. He ran for over 100 yards. So good game for David Montgomery, but Andy Dalton could barely throw the ball down the field, missing guys. And I know the Rams defense is tough. Let me tell you, like, you got Aaron Donald in your face all day long. Not easy. Plus Jalen Ramsey out there, and the Rams are for real. So I'm not going to judge Andy Dalton and the Bears completely on that game, but you can just tell, like, the offense looks dead. It just does. They didn't look like a contending team with a defense that's pretty good. They got some big names on the defense, but obviously, Stafford threw 250+ yard touchdowns against them. So maybe the Rams are that good and the Bears aren't that bad. I'm not sure exactly, but I will say this needs to be the Justin Fields show sooner than later. They threw him out there. He did score like a little read option, kind of a QB. What do they call him? Like a RBO run or RPO, run pass option. And Fields ran one in at the goal line, but I think you got to move on from Andy Dalton and see what this kid's got and just throw him out there. Why not? There's a lot of stuff that happened in college football the weekend. I want to transition to that. The big news was, of course, Clay Helton getting fired from USC. I don't understand why it took them so long to do this. And you wait, you give him 2 games to quote unquote prove himself this year? Why? You wasted a whole offseason of recruiting and getting another coach in there to change the culture. I don't know what USC is doing. This was the right move, long overdue. He's got a good record on paper if you look at what he's done since in the last 8 years. However, a lot of it was when Sam Darnold was there in the first few years, and he really hasn't gotten the quarterback completely right yet. They are not a title contender, not a national contender as far as college football goes. I don't know what the plan is. They need to take their time with this one because, as many people will tell you, it's LA. You need to make a splash. You need the next Pete Carroll, which they haven't been able to find. Getting these small-time, small school guys trying to make a name for themselves in LA, there aren't that many of them that just shoot up and become a star. We need to attract a star here for USC. I'm not even a USC fan. I'm actually a UCLA fan. Grew up that way. But and it's great. And how annoying is it for SC to watch UCLA beat LSU and Oregon go to Ohio State and beat them at their house too? USC is not in the picture for those kind of big-time wins. They're just not. They don't have the talent. All the big-time quarterbacks, a lot of them in the last couple of years, are going to the SEC. They're not even staying local, or they're going to Oregon. So USC needs to find a big-name guy that can recruit and really bring USC back to dominance like they used to be. It's not that easy, but they have to go get that guy now. In a similar situation, you look at Texas. I know Steve Sarkisian, former USC coach and former Alabama assistant with Nick Saban, is now the coach for Texas. So you got to give everybody a couple of years to get it right. But the 2 most delusional fan bases in college football are Texas fans and USC fans. Both. It was only 15 years ago when Vince Young was going against the Trojans and that crazy defense that they had, and Reggie Bush and all those guys and Matt Leinart. That was 15 years ago. Those 2 programs have fallen pretty far from where they were in that era. I know it's going to take Sark a little bit to get Texas on the rise here, but those 2 programs they're just not who people think they should be. I think they're lost. They're delusional. And if Texas is they got crushed by Arkansas, not an SEC powerhouse, at least not recently. Texas is going to go to the SEC soon and join that conference. You better figure that out, because if you get crushed by Arkansas, what's going to happen when you play Auburn and Alabama and Georgia and all the other big schools? And if Florida figures it out, Texas needs to bring their game up so they can match that conference's competition level. So we'll see what happens to those 2 programs, but they're both not really headed in the right direction at the moment. Texas more so than USC, but USC's got to completely start over and get the guy. That's what they have to do. Last thing I'll mention on this before we move forward to the interview here today. In case you missed it, a little baseball news. Max Scherzer eclipsed 3,000 strikeouts in his career over the weekend, and he's only the 19th pitcher in history to do that. He is unbelievable. Just watching him since he got traded from Washington to the Dodgers. Let me give you some numbers here. He's 6-0 with an ERA of 0.88. Let me repeat that. ERA of 0.88. Less than 1 run per 9 innings. He's thrown 51 innings and he struck out 72 hitters. And he has a whip, which, by the way, if you don't know what whip is, WHIP, walks and hits per innings pitched. A good whip is around 1, a really good whip. His is 0.66. That's almost a half a hit or walk per innings pitch. Basically, ridiculous, unheard of numbers. That's how little he's giving up since coming over to the Dodgers. He could win the Cy Young based off of the last month he had. Probably won't, but he's definitely in the conversation. And now, as far as the Dodgers go, with Kershaw coming back the last couple of days, and you got Urias, who's been dominant, and you got Buehler, who's been great, plus Scherzer, those 4 dudes, probably better than any other 4 you could throw out there in the big leagues right now. Playoff picture for the Dodgers. Obviously, the Giants just clinched. I know that. Yippee, woo-woo for the Giants. And they've been great all year. They deserve it. But the Dodgers still have a legitimate chance to be World Series champions and repeat the 2020 performance that they had last year, just with a guy like Scherzer. And it's amazing what they've been able to do. Since the whole Bauer scandal, the Dodgers acted quickly. They got Trey Turner. And look at Scherzer going crazy for the Dodgers right now. He's been special since he got traded. So that's my 2 cents this week. Hope you enjoyed the games and everything. I'm also, this reminder, Tuesday nights, I'm going to start my radio show. It's going to be similar to 2 cents. And then I'm going to have it interactive with questions and comments. I can bring people on the hot seat and talk to me. And it's, 30 minutes or more, depending on how the show flow is going. No more than 45 minutes. Try to keep it short. But a little fun radio show I got with Colorcast. So you got to go to the Colorcast app. You might have to sign up, but you can also just find the show. It's called Too Tall Sports, not Too Tall Sports Podcast, but it's called Too Tall Sports. So find that 7:30 p.m. Pacific time every Tuesday night. You can find me on there. I'm going to do a little radio show, kind of like this 2 cent segment, but also more interactive on the Colorcast app. It's one word, Colorcast. Just search for the Too Tall Sports show. And it's 7:30 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night. Just click on the tile. You can listen and then check it out. It'll be fun. So anyway, check me out Tuesday nights. But as far as my 2 cents goes, that's my 2 cents on the week of sports. And now I will turn you over to my interview with Daryl Stinson.